Hello, everybody. Let's get straight into today's podcast. This is about Boris Johnson's another election bid rejected by MPs. I already made a video on this before, but this is sort of part two because I did say that Jacob Rees-Mogg and the gang will try to table another motion for general election on yesterday, Monday, and I will just go through the results with you. So here we go. Boris Johnson loses yet a second attempt to trigger an early general election. Article is from the Independent, posted 16 hours ago. It might be a bit more by the time this podcast goes up. So Boris Johnson has lost his second attempt to trigger an early general election in his sixth humiliating Commons defeat since becoming Prime Minister. Ahead of Parliament being suspended by the government for 5 weeks, MPs opposed to a no-deal Brexit again deprived the Prime Minister of the required votes for an early poll in the last major showdown of the current session. Less than a week after his first bid to seek an election was scuppered, Mr Johnson again asked the Commons to vote on a motion to bypass a law setting out that the next vote should not take place until 2022. Under the Fixed Term Parliaments Act, the government must achieve a two-thirds majority to authorise an early general election. MPs voted 293 to 47 in favour of the motion, but Mr Johnson failed in reaching the required threshold to trigger an election. It means that there will be no public vote in early October, as MPs will not return to the Commons for another 5 weeks due to Mr Johnson's decision to prorogue Parliament on Monday evening. I should point out at this point that Parliament has already been prorogued for 5 weeks. This article, as I mentioned, it's not an old article, but it was published a few hours before the Parliament had been prorogued. Carrying on, but an election in November still remains highly likely, as Labour is expected to throw its support behind a public vote if no-deal Brexit is avoided through an extension to the negotiating period from Brussels in mid-October. Before the vote, however, Mr Johnson insisted that he would not ask for another delay to Brexit, as he taunted Jeremy Corbyn for not backing election call. Shouts of "resign" could be heard from opposition MPs, with Mr Johnson continuing, explained from the turbulent reaction of the benches opposite that they simply want another delay, and I will not have that. I must warn members that their behaviour in thwarting the will of the people is undermining respect for this House in the country. If honourable members want to delay, the only proper way to do it is to ask permission from our masters, the people, from our masters, the voters. Mr Corbyn said the only point of any importance the Prime Minister's just included in his speech is his clear indication that he does not intend to follow the law that has just been passed and requires him to ask for an extension in certain circumstances. That's the end of the article. It's a fairly short one. That's good. Anyway, so it seems that even though the law has been passed that you can't have a no-deal Brexit, Mr Johnson, the Prime Minister, is required to go to Brussels to ask for an extension towards the end of January now of 2020, but he's refusing to do that. He wants to crash out of of the EU on October 31st, 2019. And this is why opposition parties are not backing an election, because they don't want to have to deal with no deal Brexit. They want an extension to kind of get their foot under the table so they can comfortably go to Brussels and try to get a better deal. However, does anybody remember that we were originally supposed to leave on March 29, 2019? Does that ring a bell? And that never happened. We were so adamant. Theresa May was so adamant that we're going to leave come what may, but that never happened. And so here we are back to square one, and now we're told that we're going to wait till October 31st, 2019. However, I have a feeling that that's not going to happen either. We are going to have another extension. Although it is very, very likely that we are going to leave the EU on the 31st of October due to Parliament being prorogued. Prorogued means suspended, shut down, and this is going to go on for 5 weeks. So I'm guessing this is Mr. Johnson's way of forcing a no-deal Brexit, even though technically he is breaking the law, because the law has been passed that that no-deal Brexit cannot happen. I mean, there was a time when we said no deal is better than a bad deal, but I guess nobody really wants that now that they've looked at what's really on the table. Well, nobody except Mr. Johnson and his gang, including Jacob Rees-Mogg and all of the others. They still want a no-deal Brexit, whereas others don't. And personally, I think that the referendum result should be respected, the one we had in 2016, but give the people another choice, as I've already said this 100 times in many of my other video podcasts. I've already said this, so I feel like I'm repeating myself again and again, so I'm not going to. But yeah, Mr. Johnson is breaking the law if he does not get an extension from Brussels. I mean, the Queen has already given royal assent to this bill, so he is now law in this country, and he should not be above the law. He should not be allowed to break the law. But this kind of goes to show that politicians are only out for themselves, because Jeremy Corbyn doesn't want a general election because he doesn't want to get stuck with no deal Brexit, and it just goes to show that they really care about themselves first. I mean, I think that if a general election needs to happen, it should happen regardless. But I guess they don't want to give Boris Johnson the upper hand in backing them into a corner. They want to back Boris Johnson into a corner, which makes sense, but they should put the public first. That's my opinion. I might make a video about the suspension of Parliament for 5 weeks. I might not. Depends on how I feel. Depends on if there's much to cover. But the only reason the Parliament has been suspended is so that Boris Johnson can get no deal Brexit through without being challenged. Although possibly he is breaking the law, and that should not happen. Maybe they should back a general election and then stop this pro-parliament. Maybe they should stop it. Maybe they should just have an election and get Boris out of power. We've put a child in charge of number 10. Maybe it's time for the child to grow up, go to college, go to the secondary school. Maybe, So yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what they're playing there, But definitely Boris Johnson should not be above the law. He should be challenged and continue to re-challenge. Don't let him get away with this. I'm going to leave you with that. I don't have much to say on today's YouTube podcast. Pretty much most of it's covered. It's funny how he's had 6 humiliating, embarrassing defeats since he became Prime Minister, and it just seems to keep on coming. If I was in his shoes, I'd probably resign, because his brother left him, Amber Rudd left him. It's only a matter of time before all the others wake up and leave him. So if I was him, I'd resign. So yeah, anyway, I'll leave you with that. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.